Welcome to the System to Success show. On this show, we'll cover the best growth advice from top CEOs in North America and beyond. On each episode, your host, Jay Crutchfield, he's a former software engineer turned entrepreneur, created and maintained online marketing, online sales, and fulfillment systems for global brands. He offers non-traditional wisdom about business systems mastery, while his guests share the story of how they built their companies. Jay and his guests talk entrepreneurship, digital marketing, strategy, and business principles. But they also talk about what it means to be human with all the ups and downs, advances, and setbacks. And what he does is he takes his information and strategies that has helped catapult global brands and brings that to the small business owner to give them that advantage. Make sure to subscribe and follow for more of these business system mastery principles.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jay Crutchfield, and I'm excited. We have a very special guest in the house. Her focus, yes. Again, her focus is to be powerful and be you and make a positive impact. That's Pegine's call to action. She goes by her first name. And Pegine says if first names are good enough for Oprah, Beyonce, Shakira, it is good enough for her. Pegine, the only Latina and one of only 8 women inducted into the 60-member Motivational Speaker Hall of Fame. Wow. Others include Anthony Robbins and Jack Canfield. Her company was named the number 3 fastest growing privately owned companies in North Florida. And she was one of 3 2016 women who rock in business by Macy's. So without any further ado, welcome to the stage, Pegine. Welcome.
Yay! I'm so glad to be here, Jay. Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to being here tonight with you.
Oh, yes, it's definitely going to be a pleasure. And I know you have that great energy, so this is really going to be fun.
Anytime that we can inspire and impact and elevate people who are looking to be passionate and communicate and serve the world is a good thing, right?
Agreed.
And for them to be prosperous and make money is a great thing.
Yes,
so
that's definitely added benefit.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that, it's always nice to make a difference. And then, I love saying, Lord, bless me indeed, so that I can be a blessing to others, right? So it's always a yin yang. You got to be able to, you want to serve, but it's okay for you to receive too.
Yes, I totally agree with that. That sounds familiar. Is that the prayer of Jabez?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So, Pegine, can you share just a little bit more about your background so the audience can get to know you a little bit better?
So I'll give you all the short version because you'd hear the whole story and we'd have to make a movie out of it. So the short version is grew up in the Bronx, and by the time, had the violent story that, hard knocks, all of that. By the time I was 13, I had entered a girls' Latina gang, and my sister was a local prostitute and was a junkie. Parents were divorced, domestic violence, all of that stuff. And when I was 17, and during that time, kicked out of 2 high schools, my mom had signed me up with Girl Scouts. So I was gang member and Girl Scout at the same time, which was really amazing. But both of those balances were great because they allowed me to become who I am. And I call myself a feisty, fearless, focused, fun female leader. Boom. And when I was 17, I stood in front of Jack's Candy Store. And although you would have walked to the other side of the street when you saw me at that point, I had the cigarette, I had the bandana, I had my jean jacket. And but you didn't know what was going through my head, which was, there has got to be something else for me. This cannot be what my life is about. And honestly, in that moment, I had kind of I imagine this vision like this, like of a TV, kind of like what we're doing right now. This, experts being on a well, we didn't have video back then, a TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea what that meant. No clue, no clue. I just knew it was time for me to leave. And at 17, when you're leaving a Bronx gang, which was really, really tough, in my mind, I was so important that they were, sorry so much. By the way, you hear that song?
Yes.
That's my song. I have my own song that I wrote and sing and carry with me because
Oh,
yeah, because I'm Pegine. What else would I do? I think everybody should have their own song. Anyway, at 17, I just decided to leave, and I didn't think that I could go like to Brooklyn, or I could have gone to Staten Island. I thought I was too important. Never entered my mind to go to Florida or Georgia or California. I had to leave the country. So I ended up choosing Spain, and I went when I was 17 and a half. I left the States, went to Spain by myself, didn't go on any of those classes or any of that stuff. And through a series of incidents and opportunities, I ended up opening the first bilingual nursery school by the time I was 18, because I ran out of money and I had to figure out how to make money. Long story there. And by 23, I came back to the States, and I worked my way up from receptionist to national sales manager, then director of operations, and eventually president of a direct sales company, and had this calling that I was supposed to go back and serve other kids in gangs. So I went back to school and I got my master's in social work, which led me to run programs for high-risk youth, teen gang violence, prevention of HIV, AIDS, welfare reform, teen pregnancy, foster care reunification, and all that. But I always taught them about sales. That led to people hearing about me, which led for me being Montel Williams. Do you know Montel Williams?
Yes.
So Montel used to have a big TV show on regular TV, right? And he heard about my work and with my teen girls and my gang members, and called my office and spoke to my team about me being on TV with my girls. And we did, and I ended up being on his TV show for 32 times. And he won his first Emmy with me. And then from that, he's the one that got me into speaking. So he's got into my face, got really close like this, and yelling at me in the green room, because that's what he does. Like, gets in my face. What are you doing? Nobody speaks the way you speak. You should be out there. What are you doing? You should be a paid speaker. And I had no clue what he was talking about. Clueless. Like, what are you talking about? And he's the one that educated me about professional speaking and being out there, and you could actually get paid to speak. And even though all my years in corporate and all the things that I had done never dawned on me. I remember only once, that, and this was after I spoke to Montel, once hiring a professor for some conference. And I was shocked that we were paying her $1,000 for an hour. I mean, that just was like, what? And she sucked. And it was like, that was even more like, oh my God, what? And that was when I really was like, oh, maybe that's what he's talking about. So that's my quick story. And now I've been a full-time professional speaker, full-time, for over 20 years. 20 plus years. I've made a lot of money, and I lost a lot of money, and I made a lot of money, and I lost the money. Because anybody that tells you that they always make a lot of money and they keep all the money, if they come from the neighborhood that I'm in, you don't know about money, so yeah, you are going to lose it. Kind of like. So anyway, that's my story.
So Pegine, it sounds like a very interesting pathway for you getting into speaking. So being so involved in you said in gangs and Girl Scouts, and I was just thinking, like, what was the connection there, for you being involved in both of those things?
Well, it was really easy. So my oldest sister, right, was out in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
She had run away 16 times. And my mom, there was me and then my younger brother. And my mom finally told her, if you run away again, I've got 2 other kids to worry about. I can't keep on going into the drug dens and trying to find you. And she said, this is your choice. You've made a decision. I can help you, but you're going. So she went away. Well, now I was younger, and she kind of saw me starting to go in a similar path. And a mother reaches a point where she goes, no one, heck no, it's not happening. So she actually called Girl Scouts and said, my daughter's we didn't use the words high risk, was a troubled teen, and is there anything for girls, for troubled teen? That same day, here's how serendipity works. That same day, some woman from Wall Street who was single, but it was a Wall Street muckety muck, wanted to give back to the community, wanted to do something. So she called the same Girl Scout troop that day, not the troop, the center, and said, I'm only interested in working with 3 of your toughest girls. That's all I want to work with. So my mom, she goes, oh, well, we have one. And then 2 other women, mothers, also called about their 2 daughters who are also in gangs. So it ended up being me, Denise, and Barbara from 3 different gang groups, all in this group with Mrs. B. I don't remember her real name. All we called her was Mrs. B. And Mrs. B was, that woman was this blonde, tough. She said, girls, I'm here with you. I mean, we were like in this church, and she's, I'm here with you, and I'm telling you, we're not gonna do it the normal way. I don't do cookies, and I don't do arts and crafts. We're going to do this my way. And she would every Wednesday meet us in the Bronx and then take us on the train, the subways, to go to Wall Street. So we would get there like at 4:30. Took us like an hour to get into the city. It'd be like 4:30 or so when everybody was kind of leaving work, and she would stop. I mean, imagine you're walking, right? Jay, imagine you're walking. You're coming out of your office. You're in your suit. You're coming out. You've been like focused, and you have this woman who has 3 girls all in gang jackets. The only agreement that we all made is that we would wear the stupid cadet beret hat. Yeah. With this. All right, so we had the gang jackets, and we'd be like this. Imagine 3 teenagers trying to look cool and have attitudes, standing behind this white woman with this blonde, puffy hair. And she would say, stop, you stop. Tell them how you got where you are. And you would go like I went to school. You do this. She would stop women. The women would grab their pocketbooks because we were like, come on, like this. But all that time that we were with her, I was with her for about 2 years. She was showing us, first, we thought she was crazy. You have to understand, she was taking 3 badass, tough girls in a gang downtown and acting crazy, stopping people on the street. Now, we were standing behind her. We thought she was crazy, right? We really did think she was nuts. She acted like a crazy person. Who does that? And the way the people reacted to her, because she was also very intimidating. She had a big personality, and I can think about Mae West, right? But in a New York City kind of business suit. She was not going to be heard, right? And that's really what she was teaching us was, don't let anybody decide who you are. Don't let anybody stop you. And years later, when I left Spain and I came back and I was doing a territorial salesperson, I had found a quote that said, by Eleanor Roosevelt, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And I didn't know what that meant, Jay. I took that little quote and I hung it up. I just because it was like I had proof of all the people that made me feel inferior. I had proof. I could show you proof of people that discounted me, put me down. I mean, I had proof, right? So what was she saying that nobody could feel inferior? But that was the beginning of I understood then what Mrs. B was trying to educate us, right? You're the one that decides how people perceive about you. You're the one who's responsible for how they receive you. You're the one that could go after whatever you want. You're the one that could be whoever you want. Combined with that quote, right? No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Years later, these shifts and transformations started for me. And then the clarity of hearing, what you think of me is none of my business. What I think of me is all of my business. I have wrapped that in my life. That's why when I talk about, be powerful, be you, you were put on this earth to do what you're doing because that's your mission. So the path lights up for you. You have to be yourself. I cannot be Oprah. I can't be Shakira. Definitely can't be, that's not who I am. I can't be anybody else. And every time I've tried, and especially in the world of speaking, people try to be like somebody. They try to, oh, I like that. I'm gonna do what that person does. I'm gonna try to talk like Les Brown. I'm gonna try to talk like Mel Robbins. I'm gonna try to be like somebody, and you can't. You just can't do it because you won't have any business. You've got to be you. So I probably went off into a tangent, but that's what I was learning, and that's how the Girl Scouts and the gang kind of connected. My mom just wanted to keep me safe. And she wanted me to see alternatives to what I was being shown, right? She wanted me, so Girl Scouts was it's the one thing that I'm very aware of, that there's always a yin and a yang, right? So I thought that the gang was the only thing that I knew. This is what I knew, my neighborhood. This is what I thought I was. Never knew about the other pieces. I was never, ever, ever a great student in school. I cut out of more classes in junior high. The fact that I even got from junior high to high school is a miracle. The fact that I was kicked out of my first high school and then just went to another high school that was a small little private school that allowed me. So I don't know how my mom eked into me, but I went to school with all the mafia kids. So I went with, back then there was a lot of mafia wars going on. I went to school with all of them. My high school prom, not that you've asked, but my high school prom, when my date picked me up, what he said was, okay, when we go to the prom, which was at the Waldorf Astoria, just know if they start shooting, just go under the table. That was, hey, you look beautiful. There might be gunshots tonight, just go underneath the table. So, it's like I can never tell about all the stories that I have, but I have a lot of stories, let me tell you. So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful, like super grateful to be talking to you, to be talking to everybody that's here. How awesome is that? Because honestly, it could have gone in a whole different way, but it didn't. I think that's really important. Yeah.
I'm excited just hearing your background and just how you transition with guidance from others, for first with your mom and wanting something better for you. And then you said Mrs. B, who was a crazy Wall Street lady who took you guys under her wings and just showed you a better way. And I like what you said about that quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, is nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Right.
And so how did you start to use that quote and experiences with Mrs. B to start to transform and shift your mind to a place where you feel special, you feel important and valued?
Well, I will tell you that transformation takes time. Um, I've done more kinds of self-awareness courses. I've done I've gone to 12-step programs. Been in I've taken more online, free classes because I didn't have any money. So I was always looking for what can I see? When I started getting me a little money, then I started investing and taking some courses. I used to go to a therapist, even though I'm a master's in social work. Therapy in me was not like, I kind of wanted to beat them up. I wasn't very receptive to a lot of that. I kept on trying. I've been married for 33 years, and we went 4 times, to therapists. And so when push comes to shove, we are going. We're going just to have that ability to talk. But most importantly, I really started reading. I started from early on. I found books that just called to me. Old time success magazines, like I'm talking old time. Starting to find, and because when I went into started as receptionist, I was receptionist in a sales force for PR Card and Gantt. So some of those guys that were salesmen would be listening all the time in their cars, and they'd come in and they'd share it amongst each other, Dale Carnegie and Zig Ziglar stuff. I didn't know who those people were. I only knew that the really successful of them, that's what they were listening to. And honestly, I struggled through them. I had a lot of biases that I had to get over. Because so many of the people that they were talking about, just, we had such different backgrounds and experiences, and I will say that I struggled. I read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, probably when I was 23, the first time, and it was so different than any experiences that I knew or people that I knew. Like how many white guys did I know? How many rich white guys did I know? Not, how many, so some of the languaging and stuff were, I will definitely say that I stopped myself a lot because of my own biases, my own prejudices, my own stuff that blocked me from seeing probably messages that I could have seen. So when we go back to that, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Even those books made me feel inferior. Even those, I just use that. Well, you don't know me. You don't understand where I came from. You don't understand what my life. You don't understand. I would be talking to the books like really like these people were dead for how many years. Napoleon Hill. He's not. They can't hear me, but I would argue with him. Argue for my belief that it wasn't true. Argue for my belief that what I think is what I get. Like I fought that one because you were doing it to me, Jay. I was victim number one. I was, I carried the cross. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That was really hard for me. I had to spend a lot of time. So it's so interesting. I'll give you fast forward a bunch of years, right? A whole bunch of years. So now I'm speaking, and Montel was just giving me some advice, but I still had my baggage. I still had I had my stuff. And one of the things that's really interesting is, if you want to succeed in this business, you really have to, and you want to make some big bucks, you have to be comfortable in speaking with a wide variety of audiences. Most of my audiences ended up in the beginning were, Hispanic families, Hispanics. Then I went into, communities with lots of African American, then there were, more diverse groups, and I started getting into diversity stuff, and I started speaking in diversity, and there'd be, and doing all that. And I realized that, and I had heard it, right? I had heard this, that if you really want to start making money, you have to be able to talk to men. You have to be really, 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 really good at speaking to male-dominated audiences. Like really good at it. Not just, you got to be good at it, really good. And so, okay, boom. So for me, there's my wall, right? It's like, I remember, I went, So I started actually booking myself to speak for free in front of Rotaries. I will tell you, the sweat that would be coming down before I even spoke, coming down back down. I had already been doing speeches. I was going to, those groups, the sweat, the fear, all my stuff was, I haven't told anybody. I haven't talked about this in years, so I don't even know why I'm talking about it now. But clearly, I'm being moved. This is, I'm being used by the force to just be where I need to be. Mm-hmm. So I doing that because I had to confront myself. I had to shift my perspective. I had to work myself through this. I had to make sure that I got this right. And it was a calling. It was a mission. It was like, it doesn't matter how frightened I was, I had to do this. And so I really started learning about how to build connections, how to look for similarities, how to look at what these people in the audience who I perceived as being so different from me and their experiences, and what did we have in common? Mm-hmm. What can I make that's authentic and relatable between the two of us? Meaning the audience and me, right? And how can I let go of my stuff so I could be present in the moment and serve? And that's something that's not easy for people to do. I know certainly it wasn't easy for me to do. I don't know that a lot of people spend time doing that. Right? You're really looking at what's the stuff that's stopping you from being by playing at a bigger game, and getting through your stuff, because my stuff was creating some blockages, right? When I started finding the connections, so I found some really awesome connections. So the awesome connections of loving your family. Like that is a huge connector. Like I know I love my family, and I learned, but let me tell you, it didn't happen the first time. It was more like me going into this maze in my head to get to that. Oh, they love you too, right? They love their families. So we have a connection about that. A connection in insecurities. That my perception was, you're cool, you're confident, you know what you're doing. That was my perception. No, they're as insecure, scared, and all that stuff as I am, right? The sense of juggle. Oh my God, juggling family, the kids, the events, the health, the life, So I thought only I had that. I never realized that they had that. Do you get?
Yes, that makes sense.
So for somebody listening here, I know this is for you. I know that what I'm sharing right now is maybe, I don't know who you are, but if you're watching this, I will tell you that what I just was for you. You got to get over whatever is your perception of other people, so that if you want to be successful in this business, you're going to have to move past that. And I'm the first one to say it is not easy to do, but you got to do it anyway. So.
Wow. So you, speaking back about, you said about basically wanting to win at another level, you had to go and start to speak to men. So what helped you with that transition to speaking for free to get your foot in the door?
So there's a couple of things that goes from free to pay. And I'm going to lay out some stuff, and it has nothing to do with having a book, and it has nothing to do with on your media, and it has nothing to do with any of that stuff. It has to do with, are you concise? In other words, you can have a story, but the story's got to have a point, right? So are you concise? Are you funny? Funny, you probably have heard of this already. Funny pays. And I don't mean being a stand-up comic, but you can't be on stage for 45 minutes and be so monotone and be so educational with that. Think about your school teachers, okay? There are school teachers that were just monotone. Most of you don't remember any of your school teachers. The two school teachers that you remember were the ones that were a little bit, that brought passion and made you laugh and made you feel respected because they understood you, and there was some sense of joy. The second one that you remember is the one that was really hard on you and elevated you and forced you to do what you didn't think you could do, right? Speaking is kind of a combination of those two things. You have to be able to be relatable and laugh and bring the humanity into your programs, as well as stretch people so they could be to a next higher level, right? So in your speaking, you have to be able to do that. So I don't care what your topic is. If you want to get paid, you have to make sure you do that. You have to make sure when you're getting paid that people feel that you're looking at them, that you're caring about them, that it's not about you. So you've got to make sure that if you're paid, you're looking here so they feel like you're looking at them. You're looking here so they feel like looking here so you feel, because you have to engage them. There's no doubt about it. The other piece that happens with referrals is, and this is important, when they say, we'd love you to bring you in. How much do you charge? To not puke. I'm waiting for you all to get that one. When they say they want to hire you, you are not to puke. You are not to say, really? You're not to say that. You just say, that is so great. I look forward to speaking with you. And they say, well, how much do you charge? And since you're talking to women in this group, it's anything above $500. So here's what's going to happen. Some of you, that will make you puke. What's your fee? $500. $500? Is that it? Now if they go, is that it? It's like, well, that's $500 just to get me there. If you'd like my tip book or my website, then there's an added charge, because the way they just said, it seems like they might have more money with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other times, or the other best way is, how much did you pay your last speaker? And they'll say, oh, wow, the last speaker we had, we spent $1,500. $1,500. I guess I could do that. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.